Welcome into another edition of Howlin with the Huskies, live from the Steakhouse in Helena. I'm Caleb Brooks, joined by head football coach Richie Busby, fresh off of win number 1 on the 2022 football season. And Coach, I was fortunate enough to get to be down there at that game and watch that game. And, a good victory for you guys. It started out fast with a huge kickoff return that set you up inside of the 5 for a quick touchdown. And from there, you guys controlled the game for the most part and really went down there and did what you guys set out to do, going out and getting a 28-6 victory.
Yeah, always a good night when you can beat a rival with Chelsea. But I thought we started out fast, and that's something that's kind of been Achilles' heel of ours over the last several years. Is starting, we're doing some different things later in the week to try to fire our central nervous system and stuff. Some of the scientific stuff that we hear about that we're trying, so maybe that was a little bit to do with it. But Jordan's kickoff return, and then we were able to punch another one in there right there to make it 14-0, which relaxes us, puts them a little bit in a helter-skelter situation. I thought our defense played well all night long. The one touchdown we gave up was after we knocked the quarterback out of the game. They kind of came in with the Wildcat, and we had worked on that a little bit, but it's also a whole different animal with a kid like that running the ball. It's hard for us to simulate him in practice. Offensively, the first quarter we got down there, had a good drive, and then we kind of sputtered in the second quarter on some drives inside their territory. I felt like that we should have scored on, or at least gotten some points. But that's to be expected with a couple new offensive linemen that are kind of feeling their way through this thing. And then, we had the 90-yard drive. I think it was late in the third, early in the fourth quarter. I can't remember. That was a very solid drive at a time that they had scored, and we needed to do that. So overall, I was pleased. There's a lot of stuff in our kicking game we've got to clean up, especially in punt and kickoff, that we've spent a lot of time on these last 2 days. So overall, though, first game, I thought we improved from leads, and that's all you can ask. And then usually, they say you see that biggest improvement from week 1 to week 2, which for us was a jamboree, and then the week 0. So got to keep improving, got to stay focused. I thought our kids did a really good job of handling the trip. It's something that we had talked about a lot last week that we did not handle well late in the season last year going to Mobile. So this trip is about, twice as long. So it's something else we got to stay focused and continue to, stay in the moment and not worry about outside stuff. And if we can do that, I think we'll be fine.
I said on the radio that I thought it was a game that when both you and Coach Cassidy go back and watch the film, it's going to be a game where he's going to say, look, guys, if we'd have done this here, we're in the ball game. And you would look at it and go, guys, if we do this here, it's a 42-0 game. It's a 49-0 game. And I think both sides had some things where, first game mistakes and stuff. And so how did you feel about the way that your guys kind of overcame some of the adversity that they got in the ball game?
Well, let's talk about the defensive side. Like I said, I thought we played really well. I mean, once again, first play of the game, Nathan Thompson has a big stop off the backside, and their running back injures his collarbone, and he's out of the game. So now they're kind of limited. I know Coach Cassidy likes to run some two-back stuff. Well, when he went out of the game, that took that out of their playbook. I thought when you talk about adversity in that game, I think a lot of that, I think we handled the trip. I think we handled the atmosphere. We handled the stadium. I thought we did a real good job with all that. I mean, because a high school kid getting to play in a place that big, sometimes they can, I think some of ours were nervous. I think Dalton was a little tight. I don't think it was because the stadium or the surroundings. I just think it was his first start, and then he kind of settled in and made that play on that touchdown where he scrambled. Adversity, like I said, the defense came back after that touchdown on the Wildcat play and played solid all night long. So to be honest with you, we really weren't putting in a lot of adverse situations because of the quick start we had, and that's always good because you can play a little freer when you've got that cushion there on the scoreboard.
What about conditioning? How'd you feel about the way that your team was conditioned and getting through that game? It wasn't a super hot night, so wasn't having to deal with a ton of humidity, but how'd you feel about how they handled that?
Well, I thought we were fine. We had 3 or 4 guys on defense that did cramp. Then usually that's the side. Coach Elgin's pretty rough on those guys, and they do a little extra running than the offense does. But, a lot of lean guys. The leaner you are, the more, apt you are to cramp. So I thought our conditioning was fine. I didn't see any guys that were tapping out of the game because they were out of condition. But where it wasn't real hot, down there in that bowl of that stadium, there's not a lot of air circulating. And, I can remember walking off the field after the game, and I was like, it's hotter right now, I felt like, than it was when the game started. So just the way it always is in Montgomery, Wetumpka, that area, that river that runs through there, just the humidity is always high. When you're sitting down in there, there's no wind. So, but back to the question, I thought we were fine. Conditioning-wise, we've done a little more this week, because it'll be hot in Huntsville too.
Now looking ahead to Buckhorn this weekend for you guys, tell me a little bit about this Buckhorn team, what you've seen from them so far on film, and what are some of the things that they're going to do that's going to be a little bit different than what Chelsea did against you guys this past week?
Well, the first time you turn the film on that jumps out at you, they've got two really big defensive linemen that we're going to have to do a real good job on. We don't know a whole lot about them. We have some films from last year, then we have the one film against Madison County last week. So, and I'm sure they've probably got some on us and our film last week. So, it's kind of another one of those games because we're not familiar with them, what they do. So we'll just have to do a really good job of adjusting to things that they're going to do to us. I mean, they play hard. Matt's a friend of mine. He does a good job. And, defensively, they're going to base out of the 3-4, but they're going to play a lot of five-man front, 5-2 look. I think they're going to force us to put the ball in the air. And I don't know what the weather's going to be like up there Friday, but I expect if it's like it's down here, it's going to be kind of wet. So we're going to have our work cut out for us. We got to do a better job in special teams. We got to clean that up. We gave up 109 yards worth of returns the other night in kickoff and punt return. That's just too much.
Obviously, you want the special teams to do well and all that. First real live situation for them, running down, hitting on kickoffs and things like that. I felt like you guys got better at that as the game went on. Did you kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, they had the one big return, then they had the medium return. But then the last two were 7 yards each, and that's where we want to be, somewhere in that range. We squib kicked those 2 times, so it kind of affects where the ball's going. But first time was way too much, but we talked about it on the show last week with the importance of playing leads and having live special teams, is because it just takes time to get those things, and we have to make personnel adjustments too. Man, there's just some guys that can't do what we're asking them to do, or they just won't do what we're asking them to do. So, special teams, kickoff, and punt are so very important, and it may be changes being made all throughout the year, and as the year goes on and games get more important, you may see more starters trickle in there, because it's a double-edged sword in special teams. Alabama, you may see when Najee Harris and Trent Richardson, and a lot of those guys played on the punt team, if you notice. So, but they usually have five-star backs over there, say if one of them goes down. So you want to play enough of your starters to really do a good job at it, but you're also worried about them getting banged up. So it's kind of 50-50 what you're trying to do. But we've got enough kids that can play that role if they buy into the role. That's the thing. It's got to be important to them. And you say, hey, special teams are called special teams for a reason, but a lot of kids see it as extra work that they don't want to do. So we've got to do a better job of taking ownership of that. And we challenged them that this week. That it's got to be more important. 109 yards of return yards is the whole football field. So to me, that equates to 7 points. So we got to do a better job with that. And it starts in practice and focusing and film work and doing what you're supposed to do.
You talked a little bit earlier about, this trip's going to be about twice as long as what we just did, how we handle it, things like that. Kind of tell me what y'all's plans are for going up there. You're going to be stopping and eating the same way. And, was last week kind of good practice for now taking this longer trip?
Yeah, absolutely. In general, when you're traveling, most teams are going to eat between 3 and 3:15. And, if the restaurant's got your food out and that kind of stuff, you're literally out of there in 15, 20 minutes at the most. So, we like to try to arrive at a stadium at around 4:15, a stadium that we're familiar with. So the strange thing about this trip is where we're going to eat is 45 miles from the stadium, and that kind of puts you really further out than you want to be. But, once you get past Decatur, there's not a lot of options without getting those buses off into Huntsville traffic and on Friday afternoon. So, we're kind of flying blind, but we're going to stop and eat at JW Steakhouse in Decatur, Priceville, and then we will get on the bus and try to do our best to get to New Market, Alabama by 4:15.
When you look at the film from this past week and all of that, where do you really want to see the most improvement now going into the second game for your team?
Well, I want to see us improve up front. I still think Dalton needs to work on getting the ball out sooner, and his rhythm and getting in a flow. And a lot of that will come down to us calling plays to kind of get him in a rhythm. But I want to see us continue to improve up front, be more physical. We need a third back to emerge at some point that we're going to have to use. And really the main focus offensively is pass protection. It broke down a couple times the other night, and that goes back to having 5 guys that have played a lot together. So we got to get better there. Defensively, our back end, I thought, did a really good job the other night. I mean, we've got 2 sophomores back there and a junior and 1 senior. So if they can continue to play well, I really like our defensive front. I like our linebackers. So if we can hold up on the back end and our front can stay healthy, I think we got a chance to be a pretty competitive team.
What are your keys to come away with a victory in this game Friday?
Just thinking right now of the weather and the field conditions. I think, whoever can go up there and run the football, if it's sloppy, hold on the football, not shoot yourself in the foot, and whoever can stop the run, the old cliche, and run it and all that stuff. But that's what I think it's going to come down to, because and then it's going to come down to making some good throws. If they're just going to be hell-bent on making us throw the football, we're going to have to step in there and make some throws, on third down, things like that. So I just think all football games come down to the fronts. And, I mean, no matter what game we play in, I'm going to tell you, I think it comes down to the guys up front.
Coach, appreciate you joining us again here on Howlin with the Huskies this week. Congratulations on getting the first victory of the season, and I look forward to being right back here next week, hopefully recapping win number 2 on the 2022 football season.
All right, thank you, Caleb. Go Huskies.
The Steakhouse of Helena is the place for community gatherings, rich history, and delectable, made-from-scratch meals. Our professional staff is dedicated to serving you with the best steaks, chops, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and more. You'll enjoy a welcoming community atmosphere, local history, and enjoyable dishes you won't find anywhere else. Our restaurant is perfect for the entire family, business events, and special occasions. So come on down to the Steakhouse in historic Old Town Helena.
Welcome back in. Howlin with the Huskies, live from the Steakhouse in Helena. Caleb Brooks now joined by Nick Malantis, quarterback coach at Helena High School. And Coach, you guys, big Week 1 win this past week. Not only starting the season 1-0, but you get it over a rival in Chelsea and get to do it on a statewide stage. And for you, how fun was this game to get to go down there, to go be at the Crampton Bowl, and to have the opportunity to be on statewide television and know that everybody was watching y'all's product out there on the field?
Oh, absolutely. It was great. This is my first year at Helena, so I was just excited to see the community come out and just support us. We have a great band, a great student section, and they showed up, and our parents are very supportive, our community is very supportive. So just seeing that whole community come out and really be behind us and be behind our guys, it was really cool to see, and it was just really reassuring to know that I'm a part of a community that just loves Helena football.
When you are a new coach into a program and it's your first game, does it add any extra type of jitters for game 1?
Oh, absolutely. You always want to see your guys go out there and execute and compete. And you're nervous about what do we really have? How are we going to go out there and execute on that first game, especially on a big stage like the Crampton Bowl when everybody's watching you. But I thought we went out there and we did what we needed to do to get the win, but obviously there's a lot of room for improvement, and hopefully we can show that the work that we put in this week and show that this week.
Also, being a new coach, the communication with other coaches during a game, things like that, how important was the Leeds game for kind of getting to work on that going into this past game?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it was great. I didn't really know what to expect coming to Helena. I'd known Coach Busby for a few years, and I was really excited to be able to join his staff. And I didn't really know how the sideline communication was going to go, but having that first experience with Leeds was really good to kind of learn on the fly and figure it out. We had some really good success throwing the football that week, so we really felt good about it. And but it's always fun to go to a new place and kind of put your stamp and put your imprint on what's already been a developed program.
You talked about throwing the football really well against Leeds, and you look at this past game, you guys didn't have to throw the football very much to have much success. You were able to run it really, really well. And when that happens, new quarterback, his first start, things like that, how much pressure did that really kind of take off of him during the game?
Yeah, no, it took a bunch of pressure off. Having Jordan Washington back there and A.J. Horsted, takes a lot of pressure off the quarterback. But knowing we can run the football and take that pressure off the throw game is always a huge thing. Looking back at Dalton's performance on Thursday night, I think we had some opportunities to really be successful throwing the football. And, maybe some of those first game jitters came out there. Our footwork wasn't always, timing our feet up with our routes wasn't always quite there. We left some throws open on the field that we probably should have made and connected on. And, if we, connect on, 2 or 3 different throws there, the stat line looks a lot better. We probably have 3 touchdowns passing and, 170 yards or so passing. So, and it looks a lot better, so.
He ended up, as the game went on, you could tell he got more comfortable. He started moving around a little bit more. He got out of some stuff and started making some throws. And could you see him when he would come over to the sideline just kind of, starting to relax a little bit and settle in?
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that. Dalton comes over to the sideline and he's full of questions. And that's, as a quarterback's coach, I love to see that because I know what he's seeing. And we were able to pull up on, on the TV kind of exactly what we were seeing. We were able to communicate. And he's just a sponge. He absorbs everything that we say as coaches and that we preach to him, and he just does his very best to try to go out there and apply it and execute what we're trying to get him to do. As the game went on, like you mentioned, he was able to make some plays with his legs and really get comfortable. He had that rushing touchdown, and kind of right when that happened, you could see just that light bulb kind of come on, and then that switch flip, and he was just a lot more comfortable. He was a lot more confident. You could see it telling his drops. His footwork was a lot more crisp. And then he made that play scrambling around and was able to throw that touchdown later. So, I expect him to really show up this week and build on that performance and continue to get better and continue to be coachable.
One thing you notice when a quarterback is in his first year starting, as the season goes on, you can kind of see the leadership grow. And coming off that first game with confidence growing, have you seen his leadership kind of grow this week in practice?
Absolutely. Dalton actually texted me Friday about mid-morning, and he said, Coach, I was really disappointed with the way I played, but I felt like I led the team. And I said, man, I could not agree with you more. I thought you did a great job, really bringing everybody together, communicating on the sideline, keeping everybody together. When we weren't throwing the football really, really well, he was able to kind of, communicate with his receivers and talk about what we need to do and how we need to go about executing. So, his leadership is great. Dalton's the type of kid that people gravitate towards him. And, you always want that in a quarterback.
Being in that stadium, being in front of that many people, knowing it's a big rivalry game and all that, at what point do you feel like he kind of, all that didn't matter anymore and he really did kind of settle into being himself?
Absolutely. When he rushed that first touchdown in, we ran a little quarterback power read deal, and he was able to kind of make the right read and go in there and untouched and for a touchdown. You just saw, right when that happened, he came back to the sideline. We, gave each other a high five and bumped chests, and you could just tell he was ready to go. So that was awesome. And it's just a great place to play a football game too down there.
Getting off to the fast start like you did, a 1.5 yard drive basically to start the game. How important is that for an offense, and how key will that be as this season goes forward for you guys?
Being the type of offense that we are that really likes to establish the run, whenever we can play with a lead and we can really just start establishing ourselves with that run, it's going to open up stuff in the throw game. So that's huge, right? If we can get off to a quick start, get a touchdown on the first drive, whether that's throwing or passing. Obviously we had that 1.5 yard drive and we were able to score pretty quick. But when you're able to do that, it really opens up a lot in the throw game, a lot in the run game, and it really allows you to control the game and control the pace of the game, which is what we want to do. We want to establish the run, and we want to be able to control the pace of the game.
When you look back, Coach Busby said he feels like y'all probably could have scored a couple more points and done a little bit more things. What were some of the mistakes that you felt like y'all made on offense that are going to be fixable going forward?
There was a slant pass that we threw to Torrey Ward early in the game, and I kind of jumped his butt on the sideline. And then I went back and watched the film, and I realized that Dalton's feet were wrong. So, it's just shoring up some of that footwork. The pass protection, like Coach Busby had mentioned, our running back missed a blitz pickup there at the end of the game where we had Hunter Hale running wide open down the middle of the field. And if we just kind of step up and even slow down the linebacker that's blitzing, we're able to throw that touchdown there. So that was 2 scores that we probably left on the field. We ran a screen play to Jordan that, he caught it and got hit pretty quick. But we had 3 offensive linemen out there, ready to block a guy. We just, he made a good play, and that DB made a good play on it and, stopped the play. But if we get one guy blocked, that's another touchdown. So we probably left about 3 out there. Obviously we'd love to score, another 3 touchdowns and have 49 points. And, we're probably feeling a lot better about ourselves, in the throw game and just offensive as a whole going into this week. But, that didn't happen. So, we got some room to improve, which is always what you want. You want to improve week 1 to week 2. I feel like that's the time for the biggest jump, especially as an offense and throwing the football. If we can take those strides, we're down for a pretty good season.
What are you kind of looking for the most from Dalton this week? I mean, what are the biggest improvements he needs to make?
Poise. I just want to see him be poised, ready to compete, ready to go out there, ready to be crisp with every throw, tying his feet with his eyes. As he's going through his progression, his drop needs to tie up with the routes that we're running. Last week I felt like he felt rushed. His drop wasn't quite as deep as it probably needed to be sometimes, so sometimes that rush got on him pretty quick. And he was able to, he was kind of feeling that a little harder than he probably needed to at times. So, just tying his feet with his eyes, making sure he's taking the correct drop and getting in rhythm like Coach Busby mentioned so that his receivers are where they need to be and he's ready to throw the ball when he needs to throw it.
Coach, really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us here on Howlin with the Huskies, and good luck to you guys this week as you guys head up to Buckhorn.
Yeah, thanks, Caleb. Really appreciate it. Go Huskies.
The Steakhouse of Helena is the place for community gatherings, rich history, and delectable, made-from-scratch meals. Our professional staff is dedicated to serving you with the best steaks, chops, burgers, salads, sandwiches, and more. You'll enjoy a welcoming community atmosphere, local history, and enjoyable dishes you won't find anywhere else. Our restaurant is perfect for the entire family, business events, and special occasions. So come on down to the Steakhouse in historic Old Town Helena.
Welcome back in. Howlin with the Huskies live from the Steakhouse in Helena. I'm Caleb Brooks, now joined by Coach Scott Lowery, DB's coach at Helena High School. And Coach, for you guys last week, it was a good week for y'all, especially in the secondary. Didn't get tested too much last week, but when they did try to throw the ball in the air, you guys were able to give them a lot of problems up front. And when they had time to throw, your DBs made good plays, had good coverage. And I didn't see many guys busting any coverages or leaving guys wide open last week.
Yeah, we had a couple, but, when you have a great pass rush, and it helps us out so much. And, they really got a good front, and they know how to blitz right there, so it makes our job easier. But we still got to work on our technique, get better when we're not using our hands so much. It's always a work in progress.
One of the things that was impressive was how young your secondary is. You got some young guys out there that are really impressive looking athletes, and they move around really well, and it really looked like they understood the defense as well. And that had to be something that pleased you, was the fact that they didn't look confused. They didn't look like they didn't know what they were doing. They looked like they had an understanding of what they were being asked to do and went out and were able to execute it really well.
Yeah, and, they listen a lot, and there were still some things that we need to work on, but that's just the first game. And, you got 2 sophomores that are extremely talented and got good size and speed to help us out. And then you got a junior and a senior that, we keep them on the same side where they can work together. And then we got another junior comes in there with Desmond that works with it. And we really got 5 guys that gel really well together. So, and it's a good thing that we're constantly learning. We had a session where we didn't do what we were supposed to do today, and we just had to remind them and correct it and work on the things that we're going to face against Buckhorn.
You talked about, having a good pass rush helps any secondary. How much more confidence do you feel like it gives your guys in the secondary, knowing that at some point those guys up front are going to get to the quarterback and put some pressure on?
Well, it makes their job a lot easier, and and to know that front's going to close them down, and they don't have to cover the whole time. A lot of deep routes just because somebody's chasing after them, and they constantly harass their quarterback all night and got a few good shots on them. And we dropped a pick where we flushed him out, and it makes our job a lot easier and helps them to take pride in a little bit more. They're doing their job, let's do our job, and don't give up any freebies.
You mentioned dropping the interception. That one always has to hurt a little bit, and that's probably something that y'all have talked about during the week of, look, when we get these opportunities, we have to take advantage of them as a group.
Yeah, and you hate it for them, and it hit him right in the chest. And that first day we came back, I called the Eli drill. I threw as hard as I could at his chest, and they ripped him a little bit, but it's just like I tell them all the time, you got to have a short memory. You got to understand that was your opportunity. You're going to get another one. You can't get too high, you can't get too low. It's all about the next play. So, And they got to just look it in more, and when they get their opportunity, they got to make the most out of it.
When you look at the defense performance, I mean, the only touchdown that they got was out of the Wildcat formation late in the game where they were able to bust a run. Just as a whole, how proud were you guys as a defensive staff of what this defense did and the way that they were able to, almost shut out a Chelsea team to start the year?
Yeah, and there was a few plays where, one in particular, where we had him in the backfield, got him for a loss, and then he got loose, and he goes all the way across the field, and you got 11 guys within 4 yards of the ball. And that's something that'll make you smile, just because it's pursuit and never giving up. And we had our D lineman over there that even got on tackle, those playing backside tackle, and to see them run like that makes you proud. We don't want to give up anything, and that's what we preach. We got to finish a little bit where we misaligned, missed some tackles, and got a little humble by seeing how we made the mistakes because of what we did. If we line up right and we do our assignments, we have to think that nobody can score on us. There's going to be things that happen, but if we put ourselves in the right spot, good things are happening. We did that for 3.5 quarters, and then we didn't line up right, and we gave up 2 big runs. So we just, being proud and being thankful and seeing on the tape, this is the first game, seeing some of the things we still messed up, but played hard. That'll overcome a lot of things when you mess up with your alignment or your assignment if you're going hard.
Tell me a little bit about this Buckhorn team. What are they going to do different against you guys that Chelsea didn't do against you guys?
Well, Chelsea had a little bit of speed running back. Buckhorn's got a guy that's about 6'1", 195, runs hard. They got all new linemen, but they're all pretty good size. They rotate that running back at quarterback some, and then they got another quarterback that throws the ball pretty good. They got a 6'2" receiver on the outside that they throw to sometimes, a little slot guy. So they're going to see a lot of counter, a lot of post and wheels where they're trying to get our coverages mixed up. We just got to know our assignment, and that pass rush has got to be there, and we just got to squeeze on the counter and make sure that we cause havoc instead of getting havoc coming at us.
From a secondary standpoint, are you guys expecting to be tested a little bit more this week?
Yeah, they're going to throw it. Coach Eldon, I've been with him 17 years, and he does a really good job of the run game, and because we have so many people in the box. We have 7 to 9 defenders in the box a lot of times, so puts our guys on the island, and if they're going to beat us, they're going to have to get a shot down the field, and they got to answer that calling and understand that we're going to stop it. Okay, y'all got to stop it, and you can't give up any big plays in the back half.
Now, not only are you a defensive backs coach, but you're over strength and conditioning as well. And so, from a strength and conditioning standpoint, how did you feel about how the team held up last week? The way that the guys, handled being out in some humidity, playing their first 48 minutes, full 48 minutes of the season, and obviously a couple of guys that cramped up and had some issues. But for the most part, I felt like that your guys looked conditioned and looked like they were still playing pretty hard there towards the end.
Yeah, they did, and that was something when we came back in late January. We weren't very strong, and they really dedicated themselves and pushed themselves to get stronger, and their bodies are different. They play differently, and that's good to see that they're handling the form, they're handling their strength like they have. And I think it's surprised some people we played, and that's what we've been known for, is winning the line of scrimmage on offense and defense. And those back half guys, breaking tackles if I'm running through guys if I'm tackling, and they really did a great job from January all the way into beginning of August. And you had a few cramps, but it shows that we really paid attention to hydration during the week, and you got to just continue to do that. And what we instituted with Coach Busby is we're doing some cleans on game day, or whether it be at a home game, we're going to do it right before, like 3 o'clock, 3:30, right before we get a pregame meal. If it's a away game, we're going to do it before we leave and really get the blood flowing, 8 hours or less, until game time, And the guys have bought into that and get excited, and it's almost like placebo effect, that they think that helps them with that pump, and instead of working out 2 days a week, now we're going lightweight on that Friday and really getting a pump in there and getting the blood flowing, instead of a lot of times what happened last year, we would start out so slow that we get the feel of it. Now our blood's flowing, and then we'd finish strong. But I think the last 2 games, we've started out strong and we've finished strong too. So that's an exciting point of it.
Another big thing, I thought offensive line, defensive line, they really kind of pushed Chelsea around for the most part. I mean, defensive line was able to get through a lot of times, cause a lot of pressure. Offensive line had their way for the most part, creating holes. That has to show, too, that they are really strong up front. And obviously you're going to want to get stronger. You're going to face some better defensive and offensive lines as the season goes on. But that had to show you, too, that, hey, these guys have balled in. They're doing what they're supposed to do because of what they're able to do out here right now.
That's right. And, sometimes you have to jump on them to remind them, hey, we can't take any weeks off. We don't have that luxury of doing that. We're not uber talented. We're not, the cover's not bare, but we got, our MO has got to be, I'm going to outwork people. I'm going to have a foundation that's stronger than people. And our toughness is what we got to live by. And that goes and starts in the weight room and how you carry yourself, not only through the off season. I told them, if you're going to take a day off in here, you're wasting the time that you put into it. So you got to keep investing, and we had a good lift today, and followed by one that wasn't as great yesterday. So that sometimes you got to give them the message, hey, there's no days off. You don't. Coach Busby preaches all the time. You're guaranteed 10 weeks, and that's not long. And we already wasted. You already gone through 1, so you only got 9 now. So you don't have the opportunity to waste a day in the weight room or waste a day when you're practicing.
What are your biggest keys for this defense this week to have success, stop this Buckhorn offense, and give this offense an opportunity to score enough points to win?
Well, a lot of it is just field awareness, knowing where we are in the back half, making sure we're controlling the line of scrimmage. They're going to, entrust on those 5 juniors that they have that didn't play last year. So, and we have, 3 guys that have a lot of tons of experience, and DJ Wilson and Xavier Guy and Matthew Thompson, and then you got Brett Berry that's gone along and plays with a lot of toughness, and having our work ethic, just whipping them up front and making sure that when it's that running back comes through, that somebody's free or they're leaving those linebackers free, or we can gang tackle that running back. And it all keys to number 7 for Buckhorn. He's a great player. We just got to, try to neutralize him as much as possible and make them do something they're not used to doing. And that's, having a run, heavy attack, and then play action later. And if we can get them to just where their confidence goes down in that run game, then we really done what we were supposed to do.
How important do you feel like this game is, building some momentum into next week as you guys start region play?
Well, in our weight room this week, I try to have some kind of acronym every week, and this is, I use, it's very, generic because of how good it is, but it doesn't matter, get better. Okay, it doesn't matter what you did. Beating Chelsea doesn't matter if you had a bad day or whatever it is. Nobody's going to remember what you did before. Okay, you had your victory party. You beat Chelsea. You get to have that pride for a year, but now you got to get better. It doesn't matter anymore. It's what you're going to do next when you have success. And just like if you lose, is what you're going to do to respond back. So a lot of times we want to get prideful, and especially as a teenager, it's just how you handle that success, and if you're going to build on top of it. And that's what I want them to understand. Hey, we got to keep the momentum. Let's don't live on the past. Let's create our own identity and keep being the Helena team we've been for the last 4 years, and duplicating that in your own way.
Coach, really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us here on Howlin with the Huskies.
Oh, man.
Congratulations on a big Week 1 win for you guys, and good luck as you guys head up to Buckhorn this week.
Thanks for having me, man. And anybody that come out there, we appreciate all the support, and it's going to be an exciting trip, and it's a long way, but it's a lot quicker when you win. So hopefully we'll win again. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Have a good one. That's going to do it for us here on Howlin with the Huskies. We'll be back live next week with Howlin with the Huskies Week 3 from the Steakhouse in Helena.